I had a one-day lesson with Ken, a dentist from Rockford, Illinois, and Ken was a golfer, and you can see in his practice swings here, it looks just like he's taking a golf swing. A lot of ingrained memory on playing golf and not as much for softball. Watch the hips. They don't open, they slide sideways, and then he turns and looks to watch, compared to Rory McIlroy here, they watch it finish, the hips shift sideways. They don't drive open, they don't lead the swing, they more follow it. Again, watch the hips as it shifts sideways, the right foot drags. Looks very much like a golf swing. So that's the muscle memory you're fighting, Ken. We had to try to develop a drive of the hips open and a perfect snap. Watch your foot just slide sideways on some more of these early swings here. I've never ever seen anything really quite like it. It's the least amount of hips I think I've ever seen in a swing. So it's a daunting task for a 61-year-old, particularly when we're only having a one-day lesson, a one-session lesson. So had to really work on the basics of the two drills. Here's what you want to look like. Watch Matt Brady, a top pro, watch his lower body. Look at the hips rotate open, the rear hip, as Brand says, drives against the front brace leg. You lower, you reach your foot ahead, you rotate your hips open, you drive the rear hip against the front brace. And what I like to say is you do the perfect snap, but really there's a lot of top arm extension along with the lead arm being rotated and stabbed. So we want to work on getting a better hip rotation. This is a little bit better, but you're at a down angle, so I had you bring that fist back to the right hip point. Load everything in the right hip point, and then we did the connection drill. You pull the bat back, and we get in this position here so we have a better launch angle. Same thing on the swing simulator, we can pull it back. So can we take this now and get a good hip rotation, have the rear hip drive around? Better. You're vertical, you pull the bat off your hip, but same thing here on the swing simulator. Watch how you pull the tube off of the hip. You want to make sure that holds tight, and then it'll make the hip come around. Again, with the bat on the hip, if you punch it around, see it pulling it off, but it becomes hard. So we went to the upper body, the perfect snap. Watch how you roll the wrist over, the lead wrist over. It's supposed to be rotation, stab, palm down the lead hand, and top arm extension. Rotation, stab, and snap. It's a little bit better there, but still that lead wrist is turning over and you're rolling into the ball rather than snapping. Something we never really corrected, but we worked on a lot. Watch your rotation, stab, and X-style snap. It's not X-style snap. The left wrist turns as subtle as it is. Went back to the rope trainer, tried to work the bat on the hip better. You can see you're getting some hip rotation out of there. We had zero before. And then the bat on the hip just looks like a bit of a struggle, but you don't expect to get that in a 3 or 4 hour session. Again, look at there. Look at how the back foot comes up. You're not really leading with the hips as well as you could, but they're turning open, and you're rolling into the ball on the tee. Watch the wrist. Instead of driving, rotating, stabbing and snapping, you're rolling the wrist over. So you had to work on this perfect snap. And again, the key is watch the left wrist, Ken. It turns down. It doesn't flex sideways like you're hammering sideways. If we'd had more time, I'd had you hit a hammer sideways into the heavy bag. From the back, it looks like you really made a lot of improvement, ton of improvement, and your hips are opening more so, but they're at times I think they're following a little bit, but you're getting a lot of hip rotation. We want to have a finish like this as one of the lesson athletes. See how you drive it, you let it come around, just like a planet circling the sun. Keep your lead arm straight and just let it circle all the way around and roll over after impact. But you're rolling over right there. It's all about that left wrist. You got to stab that left wrist, palm down, and you actually end up in a golf finisher with the bat. So here's those practice swings before. Very golfy, just a lot of wrist into it right here. There's an side X snap. See, you still want to turn the left knuckles down. They're not perfect, but they're better. And you can see right here, there's the finish up just like you're finishing a golf swing. You've got to drive that out of your top. Your top hand needs to extend and drive it out of the top hand. Keep it in X form as long as you can, palm down, palm up, and then just let that bat finish. This isn't too bad right here. You're getting the right idea. What I really like is you're driving your hip open as you do it. Hip drive is a perfect snap, and our focus is on top arm extension. More and letting the lead arm, because it was connected, just come around. See that lead arm? It doesn't turn down as much. Watch the knuckles here on this other athlete. Look at his knuckles. He's snapping the wrist sideways. If you snap it sideways with no roll, right here, that's what you got to work on, Ken. Do a lot of those, and then keep working on the hip drill. Get the brace leg ahead, load, lower, and drive it. You can see that's not perfect, but it's so much better. Look at your hips. Your hips are actually driving open, but you're rolling the bat head into it, something we have to stop doing. So you got a simulator, work on it well, and you actually hit some really good balls. You picked up about 12 miles an hour, and you hit a couple balls 290 feet. A lot of work to be done, but great job, Ken. Nice. There you go. That's how your hip punches, correct?
Yeah.
And then you got to take, your timing will be lowering and reaching the brace leg ahead, correct?
Right. It feels smoother. Before I felt like I was swinging with my upper body and just kind of like turning into it. And now I feel like I'm pushing with my lower body, pushing with my hips.